they silenced her. And when she tried to warn us, they made it look like she took her own life.
The best one for me is Ellen DeGeneres, who is, by the way, a very nasty person. I've had dealings with her in Australia. Could I tell you some stories about that cow?
She was terrified. She knew what was coming.
I am making it publicly known that in no way, shape, or form am I suicidal. I have made this known to my therapist and GP. If something happens to me, for the sake of my family, do not let this go away and help me to protect them. Too many evil people want to see me quiet.
Days later, she was dead.
Virginia Giuffre, the most prominent victim of the late convicted Jeffrey Epstein, took her own life on Thursday. This is just weeks after she made headlines for saying that she had days to live after she claimed to have been hit by a bus.
But here's what nobody is connecting. Mel Gibson tried to tell us. You know Mel Gibson's name. You know he's been blacklisted, dismissed, called a conspiracy theorist. But what if everything he warned us about is actually coming true? For years, Mel Gibson has been vocal about one thing. Hollywood isn't what you think it is. There's a sickness at the top, a network, a system designed to protect the most powerful people and silence anyone who tries to expose it. Most people laughed it off. Media outlets called him crazy. Hollywood shunned him. But in 2019, something happened that made Gibson's warnings impossible to ignore. A woman named Virginia Giuffre came forward with a story so explosive, so carefully documented, that it threatened to topple some of the most powerful figures in entertainment, politics, and royalty. Virginia wasn't just another victim. She was a witness with evidence, photographs, names, flight logs. She was writing a book that would name every single person she encountered during her time inside Jeffrey Epstein's operation. And then something changed. In early 2019, weeks before the official release of the Epstein files, Virginia made an announcement on social media. She was receiving threats. Unknown sources were warning her that if she kept speaking, something would happen. She was scared, genuinely terrified.
I've talked to many other girls, and a lot of things have happened, okay? So, just take a deep breath.
I'm trying. It's just I'm not that type of person. That's why I was so.
This voicemail, this single recording changed everything. Because in those final weeks before her death, Virginia wasn't just sharing her own story. She was gathering testimony from other survivors. She was connecting them. She was building a map of Epstein's entire network. Not just the island, not just the plane, but the entertainment industry itself. And according to multiple sources who claim to have heard portions of her final voicemail, Virginia mentioned a name that shocked everyone. Ellen DeGeneres. Not Epstein, not Maxwell. Ellen. Here's where the timeline becomes impossible to ignore. In 2024, after the announcement that the complete Epstein files would be released in 2025, something remarkable happened. A woman who had built her entire career on the concept of kindness, on being the nicest person in the room, suddenly packed up and left the country. Ellen DeGeneres and her wife Portia de Rossi didn't just move. They fled.
Ellen DeGeneres and wife Portia de Rossi have moved to rural England, put their Montecito estate on the market, and plan to never return to the United States.
But here's what doesn't add up. The official story is that Ellen left because of politics, because Trump won the election and she was upset. But think about the timeline. The Epstein files announcement, 2024, Ellen's departure, immediately after, coinciding with the release window, Virginia's death, 2019, Virginia's final voicemail, weeks before her death, Twitch's death, December 2022. These events aren't random, they're connected, and Mel Gibson knows it. According to sources close to Gibson, he's been vocal in private conversations about what this all means. He said that when the Epstein files drop, the entertainment industry will collapse. Not because Epstein is still alive, not because of new arrests, but because the files will reveal the network, the system, the people who recruited for him, who protected him, who laughed about it on national television. Ellen changed her appearance. For decades, she was blonde, signature look, then suddenly brunette, a complete transformation. She put her mansion on the market for an undisclosed amount. She told friends she was never coming back to America. This isn't someone fleeing a political climate. This is someone running from something. Let's talk about Stephen Twitch Boss. Twitch was Ellen's right-hand man, her executive producer. He was on her show for years, always smiling, always dancing, always keeping the energy light and positive. To viewers at home, he was a symbol of Ellen's brand. But what was he really seeing behind the scenes? In December 2022, Twitch took his own life. The official story focused on his mental health struggles, challenges from his past that had finally caught up with him. But there's more to the story that the mainstream media refuses to connect.
Learning more tonight about the tragic suicide of Stephen Twitch Boss and the detailed steps he took to hide his plans. TMZ is reporting when Twitch left his home the day before his He took an Uber to a motel about a mile away. At the motel, he switched his phone to airplane mode so no one could reach him.
Why would someone planning to take their own life rent a motel room under their own name and then switch their phone to airplane mode? This wasn't impulsive. This was calculated. This was deliberate. And here's what the mainstream media completely glossed over. Twitch left a note. According to sources who have seen portions of that note, it wasn't just about his personal struggles. Twitch allegedly wrote about what he saw during his years working with Ellen, things that involved powerful people, names he never expected to be associated with that kind of darkness. He mentioned being pressured into silence. He mentioned that people close to him, including Ellen, were not who they claimed to be. There are also reports of a voice recording. Allegedly, Twitch made a voicemail message for Ellen herself before his death, a recording that has never been officially released, but has been mentioned in multiple online forums and leaked DMs. The contents of that recording, according to those who claim to have heard it, could explain everything Ellen is running from. Think about this sequence of events. Virginia starts speaking out and gathering testimony from other survivors. Virginia records a voicemail that allegedly names names, including Ellen. Virginia tweets a warning that she is not suicidal. Virginia is hit by a truck. Virginia dies days later. Months later, Ellen's closest associate, the person who saw everything happening behind the scenes of her show, leaves a note exposing what he witnessed. Twitch died. Ellen flees the country. Coincidence or a pattern? Here's what makes this so damning. Ellen wasn't even trying to hide it. She was laughing about it on national television. In one of her episodes, Ellen sat down with Sandra Bullock and they discussed a facial treatment that would supposedly keep them young. But the description of this treatment is where things get deeply disturbing. An extraction from a young person far away. They laughed about this on national television in front of millions of viewers. And this wasn't some random Hollywood secret. This is connected to something much bigger, something that's been hiding in plain sight.
Stem cell technology that Peter and I are investing in is called SCNT, which takes the egg of a young, perfect woman specimen, takes the egg and takes out the nucleus and puts our DNA in the nucleus. They just go in and take it out.
It's painful, right?
Huh?
Is it painful?
Yeah, a little bit. And this is part of this genetic greatness that we don't see in any other race on the planet. These curvy black women from Africa. You girls have a kind of a monopoly on this genetic perfection, and we want some of that. So, girls, for $100, we will pay you for your egg.
Peter Nygard later became notorious for serious criminal allegations and convictions involving sexual exploitation and assault of numerous women over decades. He wasn't joking. He was advertising. And here's the connection that Mel Gibson has been trying to get people to understand. Jeffrey Epstein himself was deeply invested in genetic medicine and stem cell research. The recently released Epstein files show that he paid researchers at Massachusetts General Hospital for tests that could help create stem cells. Investigators found a $2,000 invoice from 2014 for sequencing part of Epstein's genome. He was enrolled in the Personal Genome Project at Harvard University. This wasn't about vanity. This wasn't about staying young. This was about power. This was about a network of elites who were willing to exploit young women, trafficking victims, models, aspiring actresses, to extract biological materials that could extend their lives, enhance their genetics, keep them at the top of the pyramid forever. And Ellen was part of that world. She was laughing about it. In the newly released Epstein files, investigators have discovered something chilling, an unusual amount of coded language, innocent-sounding words used in contexts where they make no sense. Pizza, ice cream, shrimp, aquarium.
No, some are like shrimp. You throw away the head and keep the body. And then Olivier replies, as long as you don't have any hammerhead ones, are like white sharks. And then Jeffrey sends an email the next day, as two are Russian, I guess some might refer to them as white sharks. And then Olivier then emails, the king of Saudi has a few white sharks in his Jeddah palace. I totally prefer yours. Sure, I would enjoy the view. And then Jeffrey goes, on my island in the Caribbean with an aquarium full of girls.
An aquarium full of girls. They weren't even trying to hide it. And when these codes started circulating online, when people started asking questions, what happened? The people in power circled the wagons.
Pizzagate was totally made up. It was an outrageous allegation that ended up hurting a number of people, that caused a deranged young man to show up with his assault rifle and shoot up a local pizzeria. I can't believe you're even referencing it.
Deflect, dismiss, attack. That's always the playbook. But the victims won't stay silent forever. And Mel Gibson knows the truth is coming out. Let's hear from the actual victims. Not speculation, not conspiracy theories. Actual survivors who are finally speaking out.
I think with Jeffrey Epstein, it starts somewhere, but then it ends with either you having sex with him whether you like it or not. He has somebody new in his life. He likes to see them a lot. So I went there a whole bunch of times and, it led to, unfortunately,
Too Old at 17, a constant stream. This wasn't one man operating alone. This was a network, an operation organized, protected, and funded by some of the most powerful people in the world. Virginia Giuffre wasn't just a victim. She was trying to expose that entire network.
A lot of people involved. It took doctors, psychiatrists, gynecologists, dentists. All these people knew what was going on, hairstylists. I mean, the list goes on. I could keep going on and on and on. Drivers, chauffeurs, butlers, housemaids. It took all of these people turning a blind eye, which they weren't blind to because we were right there blatantly in front of them. They knew exactly what was going on. Everyone's turned a blind eye in the place where I was supposed to be protected, in my country where I was supposed to be protected.
This is why Mel Gibson's voice matters. For years, Gibson has been talking about the sickness in Hollywood, the rituals, the exploitation, the lengths that people in power will go to maintain their youth, their influence, their control. Most people dismissed him. The media called him crazy. But everything Mel Gibson warned about is now being proven true in the Epstein files. When Virginia's alleged connection to Ellen started circulating online, Gibson didn't stay quiet. According to sources close to him, Gibson has been vocal about what he calls the network, a system of powerful individuals who protect each other at all costs, who silence anyone who speaks out, who sacrifice the vulnerable to stay at the top. Gibson has allegedly stated that Ellen's sudden departure from the U.S. wasn't about politics. It wasn't about Donald Trump winning the election. It was about the Epstein files. When those files drop completely, when the redactions are removed, when the truth is fully exposed, the entire entertainment industry will collapse. Not because of one person, but because the network will be revealed. And Virginia Dway's final voicemail, the one allegedly naming Ellen and others, may be the key to understanding everything. There's one more detail that fans have noticed, something that Mel Gibson would probably point to as evidence of how openly they were operating: the set of Ellen's talk show. For years, it featured a distinctive design, specific patterns, colors, architectural elements. Some fans noticed something strange. The set bore a remarkable resemblance to the temple on Jeffrey Epstein's private island in the Caribbean.
Oh, well, you know where that is too, right? It's a similar image to that, right?
No.
I know Jamie does.
What is it?
It's on the set of a famous talk show that's now not on anymore.
Oh, Ellen? Was that Ellen?
Yeah.
Really?
Just look at the temple and then look at the...
Let me see Ellen's background.
They hid it in plain sight. The same design, the same symbolism, the same aesthetic choices. Not an accident, a statement. Here's what we know for certain. Jeffrey Epstein ran a trafficking operation that involved some of the most powerful people on the planet. Politicians, royalty, business moguls, entertainment industry elites. Virginia Giuffre was one of his victims. She spent years fighting for justice. She documented everything. She was writing a book that would name every person she encountered. She recorded testimony from other survivors. She tried to expose everyone involved, and then she died under circumstances that she herself predicted. Ellen DeGeneres, a woman who built her entire brand on kindness and positivity, is now living in self-imposed exile in rural England, her reputation in tatters, her closest associate dead under suspicious circumstances, her name allegedly connected to the darkest corners of Hollywood. Twitch left behind a note and allegedly a voice recording that may contain the key to everything Ellen tried to hide. Those recordings have never been officially released. The note's full contents remain secret. The Epstein files have been released, but they're incomplete, redacted, sanitized. The Department of Justice director lied on national television about what really happened to Epstein. And now Mel Gibson, a man who has been warning us about Hollywood's sickness for years, a man who was blacklisted and dismissed and called crazy, is finally being proven right.
I do not believe he died by...
Even Ghislaine Maxwell, Epstein's most trusted advisor, doesn't believe the official story. So who is telling the truth? The pattern is unmistakable. Speak out and you get silenced. Ask questions and you get dismissed. Connect the dots and they call you a conspiracy theorist. Virginia's final voicemail may never be officially released, but the message she left behind is loud and clear to anyone willing to listen. They're not done. They're still out there, and they will do anything to stay protected. This isn't about one man anymore. It's not about one island. It's about a system that has been operating for decades. decades, involving some of the most famous faces in the world, protected by law enforcement, covered up by the media, and enabled by our silence. Mel Gibson tried to warn us, Virginia Giuffre tried to expose them, and Ellen ran. The question isn't whether this is real. The question is, how much longer are we going to pretend we don't know?